You're live here, Trifecta Sports Talk. I'm your host, Tanner Rebell. Alongside me today is Evan Cook. How's it going, Evan?
Pretty good, you?
Doing great. My head's blocked by a microphone, but this isn't ideal. This is our second time recording this. First time on Facebook, so first time, long time on Facebook. But we recorded a 40-minute show, and guess what?
We recorded 7 minutes and 50 seconds of it?
Yeah, we were beautiful scenery, beautiful everything. Everything was set up perfectly. It looked really spectacular. Actually, it looked immaculate. But it didn't record. Recorded 7:53. So now we're here. We're live at McCoy Stadium. You got the stadium behind us. You might be hearing some balls popping with the microphone. And the balls popping, those are the gloves in back of us. You got some Paw Sox players in back of us right now. So we're going to talk some Red Sox talk, but that's going to be the Red Sox show. It's going to be on Facebook Live on Friday, tomorrow afternoon. Probably around the same time, probably around 3 o'clock, from what I'm guessing. But when we talk about Red Sox today, they're on an 8-game winning streak, so you have to talk about them. This is a team that, at the trade deadline, brought in Eduardo Nunez. They called up Rafael Devers. Brandon Workman was called up around that time, and they traded for Addison Reed to the New York Mets. So this is a team that didn't have the splashiest moves at the MLB trade deadline, but they did enough to go on an 8-game winning streak right now.
Yeah, and the big thing is they're starting to get more consistent hitting. Now, granted, it's from Eduardo Nunez and Rafael Devers minus the last couple of games. I know he got yesterday off because he has been struggling. He's 3 for his last 19. But they've been able to hit. They've been able to start stringing more more hits together. They've been able to hit with runners in scoring position. And a lot of that has to do with Eduardo Nunez because he's just been able to hit better. And that's what they've been needing throughout this entire thing. Since the All-Star break, really since that series with when they were in Texas at the beginning of July, they've had the pitching. They just haven't had the consistent hitting. And now that they're starting to get the consistent hitting, they've been able to win ball games.
Right. That's been the issue with this Boston Red Sox team. They had Cy Young caliber pitching coming out of guys like Chris Sale, Drew Pomeranz, Rick Porcello last month has been really good for this team. And the hitting was that issue, the lack of consistency from the offense, and you've seen it from guys like Eduardo Nunez. And I still look at this Boston Red Sox team. They're missed an 8-game winning streak. And I still look at them and be like, guys like Mookie Betts are still underperforming. You look at the runners in scoring position. They're still underperforming. So there's still more you can expect to see out of this team. Now, that's the craziest thing. They're on an 8-game winning streak right now, the Boston Red Sox. And there's still more. They still haven't shown you everything. They have the pitching. They have the bullpen. They're getting some hitting, but the hitting from Boston is coming out of guys like Eduardo Nunez, and I think you need to see it come out of guys like Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts. Jackie Bradley's starting to turn the corner a little bit here. Starting to have some success driving the ball as well. But there's still more to be seen here.
Oh, you do, and you really got to hope, like you said, a guy like Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, and even Bogaerts, he hasn't really hit to his potential yet. So at really any point this season, you're going to have them start hitting because Eduardo Nunez is not going to be able to keep this up for much longer.
He's been extremely hot since, June?
It was June 1st.
You're at the point with Eduardo Nunez, though, that he's been hitting so hot since June. And now we're talking about in August. We're talking about, almost 3 months of being insane?
Don't get me wrong.
And I don't see it slowing down.
It's very long. But he's hit, 400 with the Red Sox with this OPS around, 1,500 or something like that?
Yeah,
It's going to come down.
You saw him in the leadoff spot. He went 3 for 5. And you look at he was on base, and Pedroia was behind him, and Pedroia went hitless in that game. Was it 2 games ago, the first game in Tampa Bay? He went 3 for 5. If you look at the runners in scoring position for Boston, it just hasn't been there this year. They have not been a clutch team. They've won in walk-offs and all of that, but if you look at the overall group of stats right now, I think Eduardo Nunez is the best spot for John Farrell to put him is a little bit down the lineup to try to get people on and head him because he's the guy who's going to hit people in. He's going 3 for 5 consistently.
So what you're
saying, getting multiple hit games.
So what you're saying
game.
Is he should be hitting 5th or 6th.
Yeah, he should. I like Mookie in the cleanup spot. I like him in the 4-hole. I don't think the power has really been there for him this year. I think it will come with Mookie. I'd like to see that average tick up still with him. That's been my issue with Mookie Betts all season. I think the power is fine. I don't envision Mookie Betts being a 30 home run guy every year, but I'd like to see him hit closer to 300. With Dustin Pedroia, you lost him at a tough time because Pedroia was very hot. Then he went on the DL, and he's still suffering from the lingering effects of that, as it was not able to play on the turf down in the Trop.
Yeah, his first game back, he was DHing on Tuesday, and then yesterday he had the day off.
Which is worrisome because that was the first game back off the DL, that Tuesday game for Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, so did that bother him?
So that's troublesome to me. I still look at Hanley, and the injury concern with him is still there. I think if Hanley's your first baseman, you open up that versatility a little bit there, where you can afford to put Pedroia in the DH, or maybe Devers DHs. You can keep Nunez in that bat in the lineup. So I do like the fact that if Hanley can play first base, I feel more comfortable. But when they put him at first base, for the most they've done all year, in a week or a week and a half stretch there, he got injured. So it's unfortunate with Hanley. Hopefully he can get it going, because Hanley Maris is the key. Because if you do look at the Red Sox lineup, Hanley Maris is still the most dangerous hitter in that lineup. He's the guy that would scare me as a pitcher. No one else, everybody else I could kind of work around if I was a pitcher, but looking at Hanley, he's still the guy that you look at him and he can hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at that, like you said, if you look at that lineup, there's really no guys you look at and you're thinking, wow, that guy could hit a home run off of me. I know Mookie, he did have 30 home runs last year, and he does have, 17 right now?
Yep. He was on pace for 26 last time I looked.
Yeah. Hanley Ramirez, he's still that big guy that's going to be driving. That looks like he's the one that could hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, Hanley's the guy that scares you if you're a pitcher. And that's the issue. There's been a lack of protection in that lineup for guys like Mookie, guys like Xander, because there's really no that pure power threat in the lineup outside of Hanley. Real lack of protection. I think that's really been their issue, but they're on an 8-game winning streak, and I think they can be even better, which is, if you're a Red Sox fan, you should feel good about, but will they reach their full potential? That's the question. Moving on. Today is Thursday, and it's the first preseason game for the New England Patriots. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars for preseason game 1 at Gillette Stadium tonight. Tom Brady's not going to be there. Rob Gronkowski, Brandon Cooks, Alan Branch is not going to be playing. Mike Gillislee is not going to be playing. There's one more. I can't think of the name right now, but so you're not going to see the starters primarily. You're going to see guys like Edelman will be there. Jimmy Garoppolo will be their starting quarterback. Jacoby Brissett probably play the second half. You'll see Rex Burkhead, some other guys. You'll see Dwayne Allen, who is going to be the backup tight end. Devin Lucien's the guy I'm looking for. He's a wide receiver who's looked really good in training camp, Devin Lucien has. He got 2 touchdown passes from Brady in the scrimmage, and he caught one from Brissett or something like that a couple days ago as well. So Devin Lucien's the guy I'm looking at down at that shop for receivers, to be a guy who can kind of fit in and be an impactful player. Because if you look at the Patriots training camp, and there's a lot of players who have succeeded or haven't really shown anything. You always have underperformers, overachievers. And the preseason game is really when you start to put it together in terms of who's going to make it, who's going to make the roster, who's going to make the cuts. And with Bill Belichick, you always get 1 or 2 guys that will come out and show you something. Rob Gronkowski's rookie year in preseason, you were like, who is that guy? You always get that pop. You see that. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that 1 or 2 players for the New England Patriots that kind of pops. One that makes you look and say, wow, that might be an impactful player down the road. That's what I'm looking for. I think there's positives to take away from a preseason game. I don't think it weighs too heavily. But a guy like Steven Gostkowski is one guy I think with kicking, no matter what, you want to look at it and kind of overanalyze it. With Steven Gostkowski, he's a guy that scares me because he can cost you a Super Bowl, which he almost did. On the flip side, he's very good at kickoffs. He's very good at pitting the opponents on their own goal line. So with Gostkowski, I wish that Bill Belichick brought in a kicker to kind of be beaten back of him and kind of put some pressure on him, basically what he did by drafting Jimmy Garoppolo a couple years ago to Tom Brady. And after that, Tom Brady's been back up in terms of his competitive. I don't know if you want to say his competition went back up, but his performance has gone back up since then. So I would have liked to seen something in that regards.
Oh, absolutely. I saw Gostkowski kick a couple weeks ago in training camp, and he was shanking up to the left a lot. He was missing a lot of 30, 40-yard field goals. I don't know what it is with him. He's still down from the missed extra point out in Denver a couple of years ago in the AFC Championship
game. It cost you an AFC Championship game.
It did. Or what is it? But he needs some kind of kick in the rear end, or he might just be done.
With kickers, it's tough to tell. For kickers in the NFL, in theory, you can play until your 40s. We've seen it with Adam Vinatieri in this league. So you can do it. You might be right. Maybe Steven Gostkowski. I think kicking is a lot of a mental game. But Bill Belichick, he was the one that wanted to make the extra point more difficult for kickers. He wanted to make it a real thing, not a 96% chance of hitting. He wanted to make it a real play in the game. So he's definitely a coach that looks at kicking and values it. So I'm kind of surprised he's kind of left the status quo here with Gostowski. There's a lot of money tied up at him, which, they signed him to a big extension, which I thought was very unlike them to do. But what he gives you on kickoff, what he's able to pin, even if he's not hitting the field goals, the fact that you were down 28-3 and you were able to consecutively score touchdowns and then pin the Atlanta Falcons within their own goal line, that helps you win the football game as well. So with Gostowski, as long as he continues to do that, it depends how much do they value that over the missed kick. That's going to be where they kind of pivot to. Talking about Vince Wilfork. Vince Wilfork retired this past week as a member of the New England Patriots. And Big Vince, he went to play for the Houston Texans for 2 seasons, came back to New England, lifetime contract, retired as a Patriot. My favorite Big Vince play would have to be just watching that big boy pick a fumble, and then or an interception. He ran back for a touchdown a couple of years ago. That's what I'm going to remember that guy as. But he was all heart, all effort, and he was a big boy,
Oh, yeah,
he's a barbecue man. I wanted to open up a barbecue restaurant at Patriots Place.
He probably will end up getting a barbecue restaurant at Patriots Place. And now that you say that, just thinking about what the Crafts have done in the past, it sounds kind of perfect for him.
And to connect the dots, if you're not aware, his retirement video was sponsored by Kingsford Charcoal.
Yeah, and they're having a retirement tailgate the night of the NFL kickoff on September 7th against the Kansas City Chiefs in Foxborough.
That's supposed to be an eventful night. You're going to have the Vince Wilfork retirement party tailgate going on in the parking lot. On top of that, you're going to have the banner being risen. You're going to have Roger Goodell in town. You're going to be opening up your Super Bowl contending season here. Tom Brady looking for his 6th. And then reportedly, you're going to have, 30,000 Roger Goodell clown flags. According to Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports, you're going to have 30,000 of these blue clown flags with Roger Goodell's face on it, waving it in his face. 30,000.
Now, the question is, how are they actually going to distribute
That's the question.
That's the question. Are they going to do it outside the state? They have to do it.
Because, there's going to be an issue from the NFL league office where they're going to be like, you can't allow these in the stadium. But they're going to find a way. You can get it in. It's a little flag. Can you imagine?
I'm
National TV, it's going to be... it's going to be a little rally towel, and they're going to hold it up probably at some point. I want to know how they're going to orchestrate it. Are they just going to hang it the entire day, or are they just going to hold it up like this?
Or are they just going to have...
At one point.
Are they going to throw, Barstool employees just running around, going to up and down the aisles in the during the pregame tailgate, and they're just giving them out to fans?
Well, I think you don't even need the employees for that. Barstool, if you're not aware, is a very rapid fan base, and I think there's enough stoolies who could hand out these. I think it'd be immaculate if they could do it. I wish they had 75,000 of these things. The entertainment value, if you're the NFL and you see this rapid, this blatant, person, 30,000 of these coming off the heels of an offseason after the Super Bowl where you saw Matt Patricia wearing one of these shirts, and apparently Roger Goodell is still peeved about that. He's still pissed about it.
Imagine how Peyote's going to be when they're doing this opening night.
It's just entertaining. Moving on from the Patriots, we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about Tuukka Rask. NHL Network put out their top 10 NHL goaltenders in the NHL. Tuukka Rask of the Boston Bruins was 14th on their list. On the list, you had guys like Cam Talbot, Pekka Rinne, Martin Jones, Matt Murray, Henrik Lundqvist, Jonathan Quick. If you look at Tuukka Rask, the last 2 seasons, save percentage, you'll agree, is save percentage a good indicator of level of goaltending?
Yes.
It's considered a milestone for goaltending. That is what you usually look at to determine a goaltender's worth. Tuukka Rask, in the last 2 seasons, is ranked 21st in the NHL for eligible goaltenders in terms of save percentage. Martin Jones ranks 24th in the last 2 seasons. But Martin Jones is on the top 10. So is Tuukka 21st? I would buy it. Okay. If Martin Jones is better than him, no. You could argue Martin Jones helped this team get to a Stanley Cup final, which I would say, okay, but did they win? No, they did not. Look at a guy like Pekka Rinne, who puked down the front of a sweater for the Nashville Predators, a very streaky goaltender. He's on the list. Henrik Lundqvist has not been the same goaltender. Is he still top 10? Arguably. He hasn't been the same guy in his old age here, and he had the injury to his throat, and I don't think he's the same guy. Jonathan Quick out in L.A. is probably the most overrated netminder in the entire NHL history. This is a guy who has won cups, but look at the players in front of him. Look at the defense he's had in front of him over the years. Guys like Drew Doughty. So I look at Jonathan Quick. He's overrated. I look at Matt Murray. He split time with Marc-Andre Fleury down in Pittsburgh for 2 years. Yeah, he has 2 Stanley Cups. But Tuukka Rask plays 65 hockey games a year. And then in front of Tuukka Rask, you have young players, young defensemen, guys like Brandon Carlo, guys like Charlie McAvoy, Torrey Krug, who's he's an offensive defenseman. You have guys like Zdeno Chara, who has lost his step. He's no longer a Norris Trophy winner. Ever since they traded away Johnny Boychuk, that defense in front of Tuukka Rask has not been the same. It has not been a very good defense. And last year, towards the end, I started to see they were fine. They were stabilizing in front of him, but it's still not an elite defensive unit ahead of him. And the fact that he is relied on to play 65 hockey games a year, which is 3rd in the NHL for the most hockey games played by a goaltender. It's too much. Is Tuukka Rask top 5? No. No, he's not. A couple years removed from the Vezina. I don't think he is. If you have an elite defensive unit ahead of him, Norris Trophy winning kind of guys, is he a top 5 goaltender then? Yeah, I would say he is. But with the current unit ahead of him, I think Tuukka Rask is more like 10 or 9. He's not 14th. Guys like Martin Jones aren't ahead of him. Cam Talbot's not ahead of him. Pekka Rinne is not ahead of him. Matt Murray, I'll give it to them. Henrik Lundqvist, I'll give it to you. Jonathan Quick, you got to be kidding me. Just ain't right, Evan. Just ain't right. My boy Tuukka is getting scrubbed by the NHL once again. That's it for Trifecta Sports Talk. You know, we're live here from McCoy. Tomorrow on Friday, we will have a complete comprehensive Red Sox show where we'll talk about the new nicknames that Major League Baseball has kind of done for Players Weekend from August 25th and 27th. Give you our thoughts on some of the ones the Red Sox have selected. Then we'll talk about the MVP race in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about whether Red Sox should have been in on Jay Bruce and some other thoughts about the Red Sox as well, and potentially who they might call up in September from here. Thanks for joining me, Evan.
Thank you.
Make sure to like us on Facebook at Boston Sports 617. Just give us a like. Follow us on Twitter at Trifecta Network, or check out the website, trifectanetworksports.com. Thank you for listening.